In the eyes of many around the league, it's become almost routine, a yearly event really, for Howie Roseman to walk into an NFL draft and absolutely dominate. And guess what? In 2025, the Eagles general manager pulled it off again. Welcome to another edition of the channel, where today we're diving deep into how Philly just might have walked away from the draft with another haul of future stars, especially in the trenches where this franchise continues to thrive. So let's set the scene. May has officially kicked off, and with it, a whole new wave of excitement for Eagles fans everywhere. Coming off a Super Bowl victory and being recognized as arguably the best-run organization in football, Philadelphia did rest on its laurels. While most teams might take their foot off the gas after reaching the mountaintop, the Eagles doubled down. And why wouldn't they? If you followed this team under Howie's leadership, you know building in the trenches is the cornerstone of their identity. And that philosophy didn't change one bit this year. What's really grabbing attention, though, is how the experts, the real trench junkies, the guys who live and breathe offensive line play, are reacting. Brandon Thorn, who's become one of the most respected voices in this space, absolutely loves what the Eagles did. For context, Thorn runs the Trench Warfare Substack, contributes to outlets like Establish the Run, and is a voter for the Joe Moore Award, which honors the top offensive line unit in college football. This guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to evaluating offensive linemen. Now, the Eagles didn't enter this draft with glaring holes on the offensive line. In fact, they had one of the league's top units last season. Saquon Barkley, for example, set a new single-season rushing record running behind that dominant five-man front. Jalen Hurts had time to operate, make throws, and win big games because of the clean pockets that line consistently gave him. But for Howie Roseman, good isn't good enough. Depth development and future planning, that's what sets him apart. So even with a stacked starting group, Roseman went out and added 3 more big bodies to that offensive line room. Drew Kendall, a center out of Boston College, was picked up in the 5th round. Then came Cameron Williams, an offensive tackle from Texas, in the 6th. And shortly after, Myles Hinton, the former Michigan tackle who transferred from Stanford, was also taken in the 6th round. All 3 bring unique traits, but what they share is potential, and the kind of upside that makes offensive line experts like Thorn perk up. Let's start with Kendall. Thorn actually had him pegged as a late 4th rounder, so the Eagles grabbing him in the 5th represents solid value. Kendall has a ton of starting experience, 37 games, and comes from a run-heavy, zone-based system that aligns nicely with what Philly does up front. He's known for his sticky run-blocking technique, smart use of leverage, and the kind of functional strength that helps him hold up at the point of attack. In Thorn's view, Kendall is not just a camp body, he's a legit backup center who could push for the number 2 spot behind Cam Jurgens. And speaking of Jurgens, the Eagles recently gave him a sizable extension, one of the richest ever for a center in terms of guaranteed money. That tells you how much they value him anchoring the middle of that line. But as always, Howie's got insurance. If Jurgens ever needs to kick out to right guard, say, if Kenyon Green, Tyler Steen, or Trevor Keegan can't secure that spot, Kendall provides the flexibility to step in at center and keep things stable, though he's never played guard. Before, the Eagles seemed willing to test his positional adaptability. Then there's Cameron Williams, and Thorn was even higher on him, slapping a 3rd-round grade on the Texas tackle. Let that sink in. A 3rd-round talent falling all the way to the 6th round. That's what you call a potential steal. Williams is massive, moves surprisingly well for his size, and has untapped upside. Yes, he's raw. Yes, he needs polish. But when you're that big and that athletic and you land in a system coached by Jeff Stoutland, arguably the best offensive line coach in the league, you're set up for success. Williams is the kind of developmental tackle that could turn into a legitimate starter or even a successor to Lane Johnson down the line. Funny side note, producer Reed from Chat Sports, who Eagles fans know well from his live chats, was flying into Philly for a wedding and ended up sitting next to Cameron Williams on the plane. Williams was making his way to rookie minicamp. Small world, right? Now back to the picks. Myles Hinton is another one who caught Thorn's eye. He had a late 4th-round grade on him too, meaning the Eagles once again got tremendous value late. Hinton is versatile and tough with strong bloodlines. His father played in the league, as did Kendall's. Between them, Their dad started over 360 games in the NFL. That's the kind of pedigree teams love, especially when it comes to learning the game's nuances early. Thorne described both Williams and Hinton as shrewd, high upside swings, meaning they're not polished products right now. But if either one hits, they could be long-term replacements for Lane Johnson. And again, if they don't stick at tackle, both have the frame and footwork to potentially transition inside. It's the kind of flexibility Philly loves in its linemen. And if you're one of these guys, a rookie offensive lineman coming into the NFL, can you imagine a better landing spot than Philly? You get to learn under Jeff Stoutland, develop in one of the most sophisticated offensive line systems in football, and train alongside some of the league's best veterans. No wonder those guys probably did cartwheels when they saw their names called by the Eagles. Thorne noted that while Williams had some struggles in the college football playoff, particularly against speed rushers, his potential is undeniable. If he had gone back to Texas for another year and cleaned up some of those issues, he might have had first-round buzz in 2026. That's the kind of value the Eagles scooped up in round 6. And Hinton, he's a natural tackle, but could easily be slid inside if needed. That flexibility is gold for an NFL offensive line coach. One name that didn't come up in Thorne's review, but is worth watching, Holland Pierce, the undrafted free agent out of Rutgers. This kid has size, length, and experience. He's not quite as polished, but in the Eagles' developmental system, there's a real chance he could carve out a role, especially as a run blocker, where he flashed some serious nastiness last season. Now, all of this ties back into Howie Roseman's team-building philosophy. He believes, and has said it many times, that games are won and lost in the trenches. And if you look at the Eagles' recent success, that belief is hard to argue with. They built a wall in front of Hurts. They bulldozed lanes for Barkley. And now, even after winning a championship, they're reloading in those same areas. That's how dynasties are built. It's not about drafting for flash, it's about drafting for sustained dominance. And before we move on to what NFL scouts are saying about some of the Eagles' other picks, including Jihad Campbell, Andrew Mukuba, and Ty Robinson, let me just say this. The line talent in this year's class may not have been the flashiest, but it was deep. And the Eagles didn't just take guys who looked good on tape. They took guys who fit their system, their culture, and their long-term vision. That's how you win in this league. Now, let's shift the spotlight to the defensive side of the ball, because if you thought the Eagles stopped making noise after stocking up on offensive linemen, you'd be mistaken. Their picks on defense are just as fascinating, and the early feedback from league scouts, pretty damn exciting. So while the Eagles loaded up once again on offensive line depth and possibly found future starters for the next decade, they didn't ignore the other side of the ball. In fact, what they did defensively might end up being just as impactful, especially when you consider the kind of athletes they added and the insane value they got with some of these picks. One name that immediately jumps off the page, Jihad Campbell. Let's not sugarcoat it. Jihad Campbell falling to the 31st overall pick might go down as one of the biggest steals of the entire draft. We're talking about a player who was ranked as a top 15 prospect by multiple teams, including the Eagles themselves, who reportedly had him in their top 10. He was the heart and soul of that Alabama defense, a high-motor linebacker with explosiveness, attitude, and versatility that's hard to match. And when you hear the way scouts talk about him, you start to understand why Philly was practically jumping out of their seats to make this pick. One scout told the Go Long Substack that Campbell is all over the field, called him explosive, and emphasized his nasty play style. He's a former edge rusher turned inside linebacker, which gives him a rare hybrid skill set. This guy blitzes with a purpose, covers like a safety, and hits with bad intentions. The way that same scout put it, I love this guy, mid-first round pick. And it's hard to argue with that assessment when you turn on the tape. The guy plays like he's shot out of a cannon, constantly in pursuit, constantly making things happen. There's even a viral clip of him lighting up Jackson Dart, this quarterback the Giants traded into the first round for. Campbell absolutely destroyed him on that play. Helmet flying, crowd erupting, and Campbell just standing over him like it was another day at the office. That's the kind of edge he brings to the field, and it's exactly the kind of energy the Eagles have always loved in their defenders. Another NFL scout told The Athletic that he sees Campbell as a legit top 20 guy. He praised his violent play style, his explosive traits, and his ability to do just about everything on the field. Whether it's rushing off the edge, filling a gap, or dropping back into coverage, Campbell checks all the boxes. In fact, a lot of people around the league have compared him to Zach Bond. And not just because of his frame or background, but because of how a creative defensive coordinator can use a guy like that in today's game. When Bond came into the league, he was seen as a pass-rushing outside linebacker. That's how the Saints used him early on. But under Vic Fangio's system, his role evolved. He became more of an off-ball linebacker, still blitzing between the tackles, but also dropping into coverage, disguising looks, and doing all the little things that keep offenses guessing. Campbell can follow that same path. He has the edge. Rushing pedigree, the physicality, the range, and the motor to be just as disruptive, maybe even more. And the cherry on top, his family's connection to the Eagles. Campbell revealed after the draft that his father or grandfather, depending on the source, is a diehard Eagles fan. And when he got the call that he'd be heading to Philly, he said he almost fainted. That's how much it meant to him. That's how deep the roots go. But let's keep going, because this Eagles draft class is more than just trench monsters and one elite linebacker. In the second round, with the final pick, they took Andrew Mukuba, a name that might have surprised some people when it popped up that early, but one that's grown on fans the more they learn about him. Mukuba played safety at Clemson this past season, but previously lined up more as a nickel corner. That kind of versatility is invaluable in today's NFL. Offenses are faster, more spread out, more unpredictable, and defenses need guys who can shift between roles seamlessly. Mukuba can blitz, cover, hit, and fly around the field with true 4.4 speed. He may be a bit undersized, coming in under 190 pounds, but he doesn't play like it. He throws his body around like a guy 20 pounds heavier. An NFL scout pointed out that Mukuba probably projects best as a safety in the pros, despite playing more corner last year. He said Mukuba likes to tee off on people, and that's a perfect description. He might not be a generational cover guy, but he's aggressive, fearless, and plays with a chip on his shoulder. One scout even compared his playing style to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That's high praise, and also a clue as to how the Eagles might plan to use him. The interesting part? Mukuba posted the lowest passer rating allowed among all college safeties last year when targeted. So while he may not be flashy, he's effective. He's also got the range to play deep, the quickness to match up in the slot, and the attitude to stick his nose in against the run. Yes, some scouts were mixed on him. One defensive backs coach said he missed some ugly tackles and has to clean that up. But the consensus was that he's undervalued, and in Philly's system, with proper coaching and development, he could become a very good starter. Now let's shift to Ty Robinson, because this is another fascinating player that's already turning heads in Philly. Some fans are calling him the modern-day J.J. Watt, and while that's obviously a lofty comparison, you can see where it comes from. Robinson is built like a tank, almost 290 pounds, but he moves with surprising quickness. He ran a 4.8 40 at that size, which is no joke. But what's more impressive is the way he plays. High motor, powerful hands, and the kind of nastiness you want in your defensive line rotation. One scout called him a bull in a china shop. Another said he has a great first step knocks. Offensive lineman off balance, and has the ability to split combo blocks with brute force. That's exactly the kind of interior presence that can thrive in a Vic Fangio defense. Robinson might not be a freaky edge rusher like Prime Watt, but he can play multiple spots along the line. He can rotate inside on passing downs, hold up against the run, and even line up at defensive end in certain fronts. The downside? When he gets tired, his technique slips. Pad level gets high, hand placement gets loose, and he turns more into a brawler than a technician. But that's a coachable issue, especially in a system like Philly's where depth and rotation help manage snaps. If he can stay fresh and keep his fundamentals sharp, Robinson could be a very disruptive player at the next level. Let's talk about a few more names before we wrap this up, because the Eagles went deep in this class, and some of these picks could end up being sneaky good. Smile Mondon, for example, is one of the most athletic linebackers in this draft. He's a bit lean, but he tested off the charts, leading all linebackers in a broad jump and bench press. He's got range, burst, and can be a nightmare in the open field. Scouts say he needs to sharpen his instincts and improve in coverage, but he's a project worth investing in. In the meantime, he'll likely be an asset on special teams while he develops. Then there's Mecky Williams, a Central Florida corner who transferred from UAB. Another high upside swing. Daniel Jeremiah had him ranked as a top 150 player, even though other analysts were lower on him. That same thing happened last year when Jeremiah was higher than most on Jix Hunt. A player the Eagles took in the 3rd round who now looks like a potential stud. So it's worth keeping an eye on Williams and how Philly plans to use him. Lastly, one name that might fly under the radar but deserves a mention, Maxon Hook. An undrafted safety out of Toledo, Hook shared the defensive backfield with 1st round pick Quinion Mitchell and has quietly earned a solid rep among scouts. One AFC scout said Hook is big, fast, and could be a stud on special teams. Another said he reminds them of that classic glue guy in the secondary. Not a superstar, but someone who brings leadership, smarts, and effort every single rep. Those kinds of players make teams better, period. And this is the thing. You look at this entire Eagles draft class and you start to realize just how deliberate the front office was. It wasn't just about drafting talent. It was about drafting culture fits, players with football pedigree, guys who love the game. High effort, high upside athletes who thrive in the exact system Philadelphia runs. Whether it was trench talent like Drew Kendall and Cameron Williams, defensive beasts like Giad Campbell and Ty Robinson, or sleeper picks like Maxon Hook and Andrew Mukuba, this class feels like another masterclass from Howie Roseman. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles, and don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a significant move for the Philadelphia Eagles, the team has secured wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan on a 4-year deal. The agreement marks a major step in bolstering the Eagles' offensive lineup, adding a dynamic young talent to their receiving core. McMillan, a standout performer with impressive agility and speed, has been a highly sought-after prospect. Throughout his college career, he demonstrated exceptional route running and ability to make plays in critical moments, making him a perfect fit for the Eagles' high-paced offense. His addition to the team provides quarterback Jalen Hurts with another weapon to diversify the Eagles' passing game, particularly in an NFC East division that continues to grow more competitive by the season. The Eagles' decision to sign McMillan comes as part of a larger strategy to improve their offensive depth. Having already made key moves in the offseason to strengthen various positions, McMillan's signing solidifies the team's commitment to both the short and long-term future. With his versatility and knack for making crucial catches, McMillan is expected to contribute immediately, learning from the seasoned veterans already on the roster while making an impact on game days. McMillan's 4-year deal, while not yet disclosing financial details, positions him as a key building block in the Eagles' pursuit of continued success. His speed and ability to stretch the field will complement the existing playmakers in the Eagles' offense, including star receiver A.J. Brown, and add a new dimension to the team's approach in the coming seasons. With a strong foundation laid for the future, the signing of McMillan signals a bright outlook for the Eagles, who are looking to maintain their status as one of the top teams in the NFC. If his college performances translate to the professional level, the Eagles could be poised to challenge for not only division dominance, but also a deep playoff run in the years to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.